Previously in part 1, I started with 3 brothers and 1 sister. I ended with 4 brothers and 3 sisters. I had a paternal line dating back to the 17th century. I ended with no paternal line. I started as a Yorkshireman with an extensive English heritage, ended as a Viking with very little English blood. You cannot imagine the excitement I felt when I received the DNA result. I thought this was my silver bullet moment. The result on my heritage was showing 9,594 matches, and of that total there were 22 extended family matches and the rest being distant relatives. Not one of the 22 was a recognised person or a match to any names in my tree. I soon realised that my silver bullet had in fact turned into a rubber bullet. Knowing nothing of how to use the DNA results, I fell back on the well-known purveyor of knowledge, Google. Wow, so many results. Some videos were, in my opinion, nuggets, but lots were duck eggs. One of the main suggestions was to upload my data to other sites, which I carried out with gusto. Ancestry, GEDmatch, FTDNA and Genome Link, just to name a few. My heritage also linked to Genie, which matches DNA as well. Then came the realisation that I had so many matches and I didn't know how to use the info I had. Again, the fallback Google led me to find a tool called DNA Painter, to which I subscribed. I couldn't get my head around all the tools, but I could understand the WATO Tool, which is What Are the Odds? And it has opened up my Danish heritage. Now, down to the matches on the various sites. On Ancestry, again lots of matches, but at least on this site I found nephews and nieces who I actually was aware of. But there's always has to be a but. It turned out that none of them had my paternal DNA, which drew me to the conclusion that my father wasn't the father of 2 of my brothers, who unfortunately both are deceased. I persuaded my other living brother to take a test to see what that brought back, and again it showed that we didn't share the same father, and his, shock and horror, paternal DNA was not part of the 2 previous brothers. Whoa, what's going on? My younger sister also took a test, and lo and behold, her father was not part of my brother's DNA. At least I had the consolation of knowing her father, as he had lived with us since before she was born. Sometimes when I was young, and the kids at school used to call me names, I told them he was my father, and he was bigger than theirs, so they better leave me alone. It never worked. That left me with 2 brothers and their father. After checking the nephews and nieces matches, I could see that their respective ancestors did not connect on the paternal line. All my siblings, including the 3 new ones, all had the same maternal line. Needless to say, that was a relief. How much more complicated could it get? So now what started as finding more info on the father, who is listed on 7 of our birth certificates, to what has turned into a family of 8 with 6 different fathers. So now I have the task of finding the 4 missing. You couldn't make it up. The moral to this story, if there is one, is to not take such secrets to the grave as my mother did. If you listen to her story, which I will upload later, you can maybe understand why this was so. Being in the twilight of my life, I get to thinking, will I have enough time to find not only my partner, but the other three that are missing? At least I no longer have to go to work. Saying that, there are not enough hours in the day, and of course my finances are not infinite, which does put some limits on where I can spend. However, the show goes on. If you would like to watch the next episode of my DNA journey, just click on the link. You know it makes sense.